The first thing that hits you when you sleep on a public bathroom floor is the smell. It's a special kind of scent. You smell the sharp sting of industrial cleaner. It's meant to say sanitary, but at night, it feels cold and sterile. Underneath that, there's the ghost of 1,000 strangers. For 72 hours, that was my entire world. The scuffed, off-white tiles in the bathroom at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport were my bedroom, my office, and my everything. My family had left me for dead. Stuck in a foreign country, I had only the clothes on my back. Their deceit tore my trusting heart to shreds. They thought they'd gotten rid of me, a messy problem erased from their perfect family life. What they didn't expect was that on that cold floor, with flushing toilets and a buzzing light, I was already planning to burn their world down. This is that story. It wasn't some big, cinematic moment of realization. It was a slow, creeping dread that twisted in my gut. For the first hour, I felt annoyed. My mom, dad, and sister Jessica wanted to use the first-class lounge as we waited for our final flight home to London. "You look tired, love," my mother said, her voice dripping with poison I couldn't hear at the time. "Let us handle the bags. We'll grab a quick drink. You save our seats at the gate." They took my carry-on. My wallet, my passport, my phone charger, all of it. And I, the 21-year-old idiot, the trusting son, let them. An hour went by. They were enjoying the fancy lounge, I told myself. 2 hours. That's when the anxiety started to prickle. I walked to the lounge, but without a matching boarding pass, the attendant said, "I'm sure they'll be out soon, sir." 4 hours later, the flight was boarding. I heard my name over the intercom. "Final boarding call." I stood at the gate, scanning every face with urgency while my heart pounded against my ribs. The gate agent looked at me with pity. "Sorry, sir, no passport, no flight." The jet bridge door slid shut. The plane, our plane, pushed back and disappeared into the sunset. Even then, a part of my brain was still making excuses for them. This was the part they'd gaslit for 2 decades. A mix-up, wrong flight. They're looking for me at this moment, filled with worry. I paced the terminal for another hour, that delusion dissolving with every step. My phone, once at a healthy 80%, was now at 5%. I sent one last, desperate text. "Where are you? The plane left. Please call me." The message went through. And then the screen died. That's when it hit me. I was completely alone. No money, no ID, no way to call anyone, in a country that wasn't mine. To get why they did it, you have to get my family. My mother was the queen, my father was her spineless yes-man, and my sister, Jessica, was the princess. I was the court jester, the family scapegoat. We didn't see the world the same way. They were all about appearances and social climbing. I was more like my grandfather, my mom's dad. He was a straight shooter who saw right through their act. We shared a bond as kindred spirits. When he died the year before, he left most of his estate to me. This included stocks and a rental property in a great London neighborhood, not to his daughter. In the will, he wrote that I was the only one who wouldn't squander it on keeping up with the Joneses. He was right. And with that signature, he signed my death warrant with the family. My mother saw it as the ultimate betrayal. Her father chose me. She couldn't fight the will, it was ironclad. But that resentment festered. The inheritance was never my money. It was always the money. "The money could have fixed the roof," my dad would sigh. My mom would often say, "This money is great for Jessica's wedding," even though Jessica had no boyfriend. We planned to use this family vacation to America as a peace offering. "Let's put all this behind us," my mother had urged, her eyes shining with fake sincerity. I was so desperate for them to love me the way they loved Jessica that I walked right into the trap. The whole trip was a lie. It was all a performance designed to get me out of the country, get me isolated, and steal what was mine. Standing in that airport, with the silence of a dead phone in my hand, I finally understood. This wasn't a mistake. It was an execution. The first 24 hours were a hazy nightmare of fear and denial. I had to keep moving from terminal to terminal. I figured out when the cleaning crew worked. I also dodged the security patrols to stay out of sight. Every time they announced a flight from London, my head would snap up, hoping they'd had a change of heart. They never did. By day 2, the hunger was a dull, constant ache. I watched people stroll by with greasy bags of fast food, and the smell was its special kind of torture. I filled my stomach with metallic-tasting water from the drinking fountains. I'd wait until the bathrooms were empty late at night to wash my shirt in the sink, using that gritty pink soap. In the mirror's harsh light, I saw a stranger. Wild-eyed, grimy, and hollow, I struggled to recognize my reflection. On the third day, something changed. The despair started to harden into rage. I saw a family at a security checkpoint, a mom, a dad, and a son my age. The mom was fixing her son's collar, her face full of love. The dad clapped him on the back, so proud. Watching them, I didn't feel sad. I felt furious. A white-hot, diamond-hard fury. That love I was seeing, it was a language my family never bothered to learn. My grief for the family, I thought I had died right there. In its place was a cold, clear purpose. That night, an old janitor with kind, tired eyes saw me huddled in a corner. He didn't say a word. He pushed his lunchbox toward me, a simple sandwich and an apple. I tried to say no, but he wasn't having it. His name was Hector. As I inhaled the first real food I'd eaten in days, he said something that became my new religion. "They leave you," he said. "You wait here, you die here. You must stop waiting for them. Start walking for yourself." He was right. I was waiting for a rescue from the very people who'd thrown me to the wolves. That night, I walked out of the sliding glass doors of Phoenix Sky Harbor and didn't look back. The blast of desert heat felt like a slap, but it was also a baptism. I wasn't a stranded kid anymore. I was a survivor. The next few months were the hardest of my life. I found myself at a homeless shelter. I swallowed my pride and began going to a day labor spot at 5 a.m. I hoped that someone would pick me for construction work. It was brutal, backbreaking stuff, but at the end of the day, I had cash. 50, sometimes $60. I saved every single penny I could. My first real purchase wasn't food or clothes. It was a library card. The library became my real home. It was safe, air-conditioned, and it had everything I needed to plan my future. I made a new social media profile and with a shaking hand logged into my old one. It was gone, deleted. They were trying to erase me. But then I saw it. A message request from my cousin Liam, the family's other outcast. They sent it weeks before the trip. His message was a punch to the gut. "Alex, call me. I overheard your mom and Jessica talking. They're planning something with your inheritance, something about your trip. Your mom said, by the time he figures out what's happened, it'll all be gone and there's nothing he can do from over there. Be careful. Don't trust them." Reading felt like someone threw me into ice water. It was proof. My anger, which had been smoldering, roared into a controlled inferno. It wasn't the hot, messy rage of a victim. It was the cold, focused fury of a hunter. Lying on my cot in the shelter that night, I kept hearing her words in my head. "There's nothing he can do." It was a challenge. And I decided I would spend every waking moment for the rest of my life proving her wrong. I clawed my way out of that pit. I went from day labor to a steady job as a dishwasher. The pay was awful, but it was a paycheck. I rented a tiny room in a crowded house. Every spare dollar, every spare minute went into my education. I couldn't pay for a real university, so I began with online community college courses. I chose accounting, but then I found my weapon, forensic auditing. The art of finding the truth in numbers. Of uncovering secrets hidden in spreadsheets. It clicked. My family built their lives on lies. I would learn to dismantle lies for a living. The next 10 years were an exercise in pure discipline. I worked all day, studied all night, fueled by cheap coffee and spite. I got my associate's degree, then an entry-level job at a small accounting firm. They saw my drive and promoted me. I kept studying. I got my bachelor's online, then my CPA. Then I became a certified fraud examiner. With every certificate, I gained power. I left the small firm and started my own one-man consulting business. I got a reputation as the guy you hire when you need to find skeletons in a corporate closet. I learned how the rich hide their money, how they cheat, and how they lie on paper. I was learning their language, and I was getting my war chest ready. For 10 years, I forged myself into a weapon, and it was finally time to go home. The flight back to London was the exact opposite of the one that had sealed my fate. This time, I was in first class, sipping champagne. 10 years ago, they left me for dead. Now, a ghost of their own making was coming back to haunt them. From my apartment in the States, I'd already spent 6 months doing a deep-dive forensic audit on their lives. Their arrogance and sloppiness made the task surprisingly easy. They'd use my inheritance to start a boutique real estate firm. JJA Properties, for Jessica, John, and Anne. I found the forged power of attorney they used to sell my stocks and my property. The digital breadcrumbs were all there, but I found more. They were stuck in shady loans and cheating on their taxes. My mother had a secret. She paid a monthly consulting fee to my father's oldest business partner. The final piece fell into place when I saw that Jessica, my perfect sister, was engaged. She was getting married. Her fiancé, Edward, came from a family obsessed with its clean, philanthropic image. Their engagement party was in 2 weeks. It was the perfect stage. My plan was precise. I put together a dossier with every piece of their financial crimes, the forgeries, the tax evasion, all of it. I sent it anonymously to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs and the Serious Fraud Office. It was a ticking time bomb I'd set. The night of the party, I wasn't nervous. I was calm. I'd replayed this moment in my head 1,000 times. I walked into that fancy ballroom and there they were, holding court by a champagne fountain. My mother dripping in jewels, my father looking smug, and Jessica clinging to her fiancé. I stood there until they saw me. My father's jaw dropped. My mother's wine glass shook. Jessica's face crumbled. My mother recovered first. "What are you doing here?" she hissed, signaling for security. "Get him out." I ignored her and looked at the approaching guard. "There's a misunderstanding," I said calmly. "I'm a consultant for the groom's father. He asked me to be here." It was a bold-faced lie, but I said it with enough authority that the guard hesitated. That was my opening. I walked to the center of the room and tapped the microphone. The feedback shrieked, and every eye turned to me. "Good evening," I began. "Apologies for the interruption. For those who don't know me, my name is Alex. I'm the brother of the beautiful bride-to-be." A polite murmur rippled through the crowd. I looked right at them. "I'm the one they left for dead in an airport bathroom 10 years ago." A collective gasp sucked the air out of the room. "That's a lie," my mother shrieked. "Is it?" I said, pulling a small remote from my pocket. The slideshow of joyful engagement photos on the screen changed. A scanned copy of the forged power of attorney replaced it. "Or this," click. A bank statement shows a transfer of $500,000 from my inheritance account to their company. "You see, this lovely party, this beautiful dress, this entire life you've built. It was all paid for with my money. The money you stole after you left your son and brother homeless in another country." I told them everything. The bathroom floor, the hunger, Hector, the dishwashing job. My voice was flat, like I was reading a report. The fiancé, Edward, was staring at Jessica, his face white with shock. "But simple theft wasn't enough, was it?" I continued, locking eyes with my father. Click. Spreadsheets filled the screen, showing their hidden debts and tax fraud. "I imagine you'll be hearing from the tax authorities very soon." Then I turned to my mother, the queen. "And mother," I said, my voice dropping, "for 10 years, you've been paying a consulting fee to a dear family friend, haven't you?" I glanced at my father's business partner, who looked like he'd seen a ghost. "I wonder what those consultations were for. He was advising you on how to best hide the payments for the little apartment you two kept." That was it, that was the kill shot. My father stared at my mother, his face a mask of dawning horror. The room exploded in whispers. The engagement wasn't off, someone vaporized it. I watched their perfect world, built on my stolen life, turn to dust right in front of them. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I felt balanced. I turned and without another word walked out of the ballroom. The rest was a formality. The fraud investigation, armed with my dossier, tore their business and their lives apart. Their assets were frozen and seized. They lost everything. Bankruptcy. My father divorced my mother. Their friends abandoned them overnight. They were left with nothing but the ugly truth of who they were. I never spoke to them again. I did reconnect with my cousin Liam, and now he works with me at my firm. I never got the inheritance money back, but it didn't matter. I'd earned my fortune. I never got an apology. I didn't want one. It would have been one more lie. I didn't get my family back because I never really had one. What I got was justice. What I got was peace. That cold bathroom floor taught me the most important lesson of my life. You can either lie there in the dark and be forgotten, or you can stand up, walk into the light, and make damn sure they never forget you. Some people might say what I did was cruel, that it was too much. Others might call it perfect justice. What do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments.